This is the Lenovo IdeaPad Slim 5i, short for a IdeaPad 5 with Intel hardware. This is a very important laptop to Lenovo because it kind of represents their core mid-range segment of laptop lineups. As such, they actually update it every single year. Today, we've got the latest iteration. The configuration we have here in particular is rocking Intel's i7-1355U series processor. We also have 16 gigabytes of speedy DDR5 memory, a massive 1TB solid-state drive. We also have Intel's latest generation of Iris Xe integrated graphics. Furthermore, we do have a slightly dated Wi-Fi 6 chip on board, though we do have the latest Bluetooth 5 standards, as well as a 15-inch display. Now, there's a lot to talk about, like every other laptop out there. I think that's the most generic thing I ever say, but it is nonetheless very true. And with competition in the mid-range segment being as fierce as ever, and the economy being tight, making mid-range laptops a harder sell than ever before, we're gonna see if the latest iteration of the IdeaPad Slim 5i has what it takes to earn your cash. In terms of packaging contents, the IdeaPad Slim 5 continues to come in a very basic, generic looking cardboard box, but that's pretty standard of most PC laptops. Now, once you open the box, it's what's inside that counts, right? Because after all, behind all that protective packaging, here it is, the IdeaPad 5 in all its glory, and that abyss blue color looks as amazing as ever. Now, you'll also notice you have the inclusion of a 65-watt charging adapter, but thankfully you have USB-C charging right out of the box. Thank you, Lenovo. You also, of course, have the standard wall-mounted charging cable piece, and then finally you have the instruction booklet, quick start guide, and basic documentation. In terms of design, for better or worse, Lenovo is more or less sticking to the exact same design we've seen in previous generations. Granted, this iteration of the Slim 5i is slightly more sleeker and slimmer than previous generations, but everything from those conservative edges to that more linear look remains very much the same. Even the abyss blue color continues to kind of make its way, which I personally really like, by the way. Now, the laptop does have a semi-premium finish, so you have a top metallic exterior. This does give the laptop an overall weight of around 4.2 pounds, which honestly isn't bad for a 16-inch laptop. Speaking of which, despite being a 16-inch laptop, it honestly just marginally feels larger and bigger than a 15-inch laptop. Starting with the top side, like I mentioned, a pure metallic exterior, though in typical Lenovo fashion, there's no textures or special designs. It's a plain old flat surface with some subtle Lenovo badging, and again, a very business-friendly look. On the sides of this machine is where you'll find all the IO ports, and my goodness was I disappointed. So on one side you have a USB-C 3.2 port with power delivery to charge the laptop, a severely outdated HDMI 1.4 port, you have one more USB-C 3.2 port, and then you have a headphone jack. On the other side you will find two USB-A ports, one of which supports always on function, and then you have a micro SD card reader. So let's recap, shall we? You basically don't have a single Thunderbolt 4 port on this machine. On top of that, instead of including a HDMI 2 or later standard, they have the most cheapest HDMI port you can possibly include on a laptop, and for no good reason they have a micro SD card reader instead of a full-size one. These are not specs worthy of a machine of this class. It's honestly a massive disappointment on Lenovo's part. Now, the boot of this laptop is pretty standard, so you have two long air intake vents that are directly situated at the bottom of the laptop, which automatically means you get poor airflow, and only 1/3 of it technically allows for airflow because that's where the fan is situated. The rest of it is just for aesthetic designs. Now, you do have a standard plastic surface finish here, but that's more or less in line with other laptops. As soon as you unfold this laptop, you are immediately reminded of the core benefits of a 16-inch laptop. I mean, look at all the palm rest space you have over here. You could have hands as big as an NBA star player like LeBron James and still be quite comfortable. Now, they randomly included the fingerprint scanner on the top rightish corner there, but I guess it is pretty good in terms of ease of access. And then towards the left skew, you will find the track trackpad itself. Aside from having a generous amount of surf real estate area, the quality is pretty decent. So yes, you do have a plastic surface finish. However, it is very tactile. There is a minuscule amount of flex, and I was pretty happy with the experience as far as using this trackpad goes. A huge shout out to today's video sponsor, Temu. If you're sick of paying insane prices for everyday accessories, look no further than Temu. They have 90% site-wide sales sometimes, and they have every single type of gadget and accessory you can imagine across kitchen items, organizational accessories, tech accessories, and so many more. But let me show you so you can see the real deal. This is my Temu haul right here, and everything here cumulatively costs less than $100. That's right. So for example, check out this awesome handheld cooling fan right here. When you take it out, it looks just like it does on the packaging. It has this really cool Dyson-like design basically. It's entirely portable. It has a 3-speed fan system and even has a built-in refrigerator for cool air. And it charges entirely off USB-C with a 2000 milliamp hour battery. And they even give you this cool desk stand so you can kind of have it in an upright position. Well, let me show you something even better. They have this really cool cable protector accessory. If you're tired of breaking your cables, just attach this thing and you like infinitely extend the lifetime. And I'm not done yet. There's this awesome mouse pad or desk pad, if you will. It's pure vegan leather. It feels really nice. That dark green color looks so nice, and it will aesthetically go with pretty much any desk setup you can imagine. Another great example is this USB-C to Ethernet jack over here. If you find yourself in situations where your computer doesn't have an Ethernet jack, well, connect it this way. And if you're looking for a magnetic or cable organizational solution, check out this 3-piece magnetic accessory right here. You can simply snap your cables onto it, and with the adhesive on the plate, you can connect it anywhere, again, for awesome organization. If you're looking for USB-C cables, don't pay those insane prices. Look at this right here. This 6 feet long USB-C cable over here has all these standards of quality you'd find on sites like, let's say, Best Buy, but at a fraction of the price with Temu. Definitely so much awesome stuff here. The best part is that you get free returns for up to 90 days in case you're not satisfied with the product. So what are you waiting for? Download the Temu app right now using the link in the video description below and get a $100 coupon for a first-time sign-up. Happy shopping! The keyboard on this laptop is probably my favorite part about it. Just like other IdeaPads, you have well-labeled keycaps with plenty of surface area. They're slightly curved for maximum ease of use and comfort. You'll also notice they've improved the layout, so you have a full-size shift key on the left this time. Thank you, Lenovo. And of course, you have a 10 keypad since this is a massive 16-inch laptop. Now, this is a fully backlit keyboard with multiple lighting settings, and it can get quite bright, which is also nice. Now, as far as the typing experience goes, it's pretty nice, though I did notice compared to the 15-inch variant, you do have slightly less key travel overall, but make no mistake, it's still a fantastic keyboard to type on and definitely one of my top contenders for laptop keyboards. Directly above the keyboard, you'll notice you have a long linear speaker grill, and we will do a full sound test later on in the video. Now, the hinge quality here is decent, though it's not hinge of the year by any means, so you have a single tier mechanism hinge here. As long as you don't open it from the corners, you will not suffer any sort of long-term damage, so just take good care and you'll be just fine. Display fitting is also pretty good, so you'll notice you have a fairly thin chin at the bottom, partially thanks to the fact that Lenovo did not include any unnecessary branding. And then when you get to the bezels, again, they're very nice and narrow, more or less in line with modern day standards. At the top, you have a kind of thick forehead, but that's totally okay because at the center, you have a nice high quality full HD or 1080p webcam, and it has a built-in privacy shutter, and honestly the quality was pretty good in both brighter and darker settings alike. Next we get to the display, and honestly I feel like the team that's in charge of this part of the laptop has been sitting in a cave since like the beginning of time. So things start off well enough because you have a 1920 by 1200 full HD plus display, which equates to a gorgeous 16 by 10 aspect ratio, though we still are stuck with a base 60Hz refresh rate. We do have a IPS panel here with pretty good viewing angles. This is a fully touch captive display, and the touch capabilities are quite nice, and they still manage to squeeze in an anti-glare screen, which isn't always common with touch displays. But the reason that isn't impressive is because you only have a peak brightness of 300 nits, which means this laptop is easily overcome with glare under brighter daylight-like settings. On top of that, of course, you have a mere color rating of 45% NTSC or around 56% sRGB. This color rating has been consistent since at least the past 5 generations of the IdeaPad 5, and there's been zero improvement with the standard base display. It's just not okay. Like, this is not okay, Lenovo. Now, granted, in some regions you can upgrade to a higher end 2.5K display, which I believe does have a 100% sRGB rating, but again, this should be standard on a mid-range laptop by this point. Performance on this laptop is more or less what I thought it would be, in a good way. So that i7 chip can obviously just completely handle day-to-day activities like web browsing, word crunching, or Excel sheet crunching, for example. More demanding activities like development work or coding, for example, are totally possible on here, and you can even do more activities like 3D modeling and rendering on Blender, for example, and you'll have a great experience. Even the most demanding of activities like multi-layer 10-bit video editing are very much possible on DaVinci Resolve 18, though to my surprise there was the occasional frame drop. This is entirely due with the fact that you have a U-series i7 chip here, which can be slightly underpowered at times, so you may want to consider a P-series chip for a little bit more power. Now, the real improvement here is the casual gaming aspect of it all. So that integrated Iris Xe chip has really improved. For example, games like Fortnite can now run at a healthy 60+ frames per second at the lowest settings while keeping the native resolution. This is a dramatic improvement compared to the standard 30+ FPS we used to see with previous 12th generation, 11th generation Intel hardware. Thermals, for the most part, are a very pleasant story. So under unrealistic peak loads, I only hit a maximum surface temperature around 41 degrees Celsius. More realistic sustained loads, however, will yield you right around 36 degrees Celsius, which are pretty cool numbers overall, and a lot of this is because of the fact that you have a large 16-inch body here, which allows for a lot more heat dissipation. Now, fan noise, not so pleasant. You can hit maximum noise levels around 52 decibels, and this frequently happens anytime you do anything that's even remotely intensive. A lot of this is because you have a single fan setup, and that poor fan is overworked and underpaid, which of course results in some sloppy fan noise. This thing comes loaded with a 56 watt-hour battery, which equates to around 8 hours of real-world usage doing general productivity-based items. Now, as far as speaker quality goes, you have a 2x2 stereo speaker setup with Dolby Digital technology built in. And while these speakers are nowhere as good as what you find on the likes of the MacBook Air, for example, they're pretty decent and can get fairly loud. Here's a quick sound test for you. With an estimated retail value of about $1,100, if I'm being dead honest, the IdeaPad Slim 5i is not the best sell in the market. It's a very conservative laptop that has just too many repetitive things that should have been improved by now. Now, sure, there are some nice things like a high quality metallic exterior build, a great keyboard and trackpad, a nice full HD webcam, and even a nice 16:10 aspect ratio accompanied by decent thermals and performance. But it's the things that this laptop should have improved long ago that continue to be a problem for it. For example, the severely outdated IO port standards on this laptop are not okay for any machine charging this much money. Additionally, I don't appreciate the fact that we're still stuck with a 45% NTSC rating even after all these years. It hasn't changed since pre-COVID times. It's just not acceptable. And while Lenovo does bring certain benefits like faster RAM, for example, 13th generation hardware, it makes compromises that honestly just are a little too dramatic to be recommended, especially when you compare to a lot of the competition. In my opinion, if this laptop goes on sale by a good $200 or so, you should definitely consider it as a great general productivity machine. But if you're going to buy it at full price, there are other options you may want to consider, such as HP's Pavilion series, or for example, Dell's Inspiron 15 series, both of which have a lot to offer in a similar price range. Let me know what you think of this laptop. I'd love to hear your opinions. And as always, guys, if you enjoyed the content, please consider subscribing to this channel and liking this video. It genuinely makes my day and allows me to make more videos just like this. Thank you so much for watching.